Hi everyone, Trub-the-Knee-Dub-Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Show Me the Body album, Trouble the Water. This is the third album from New York City rock outfit Show Me the Body, a project I've been looking forward to given that I enjoyed the band's last two albums so much, as they are easily one of the most interesting and versatile punk acts on the scene right now. They broke out in 2016 with these really wild fusions of noise, hardcore, hip-hop, experimental rock as well, all soundtracked with these searing, distorted banjo riffs. Now, they may have followed up that Body War record with a slightly more one-dimensional sophomore LP, but there was a pretty effective trade-off going on with that project. It was definitely a harsher, blunter, more explosive record with a lot more socio-political commentary. Hard to kind of look down your nose at a punk band that wants to go harder, louder, and more political. But on Trouble the Water, I fear the band has sort of lost the plot, or there's not a whole lot of plot to go off of, sonically anyway, as this record does not feature the unique versatility of their debut, nor does it bring the punchy thrills of Dog Whistle. For sure, the band is playing it more abstract this time around, but maybe that's me putting a charitable word on the record's overall lack of concrete and lasting grooves, creative direction, memorable song structures, vision, and for sure, some of the weirdest, noisiest, and most stripped-back moments of the band's past two records were a nice contrast from the meatier, mosh-friendly cuts that were really the draw. But the balance feels a little off-kilter this time around, because there's a whole lot of time on this LP where I feel like I am tediously waiting for something interesting to happen. Whether that be on the song Out of Place, which is an interestingly somber change of pace, at least for a few moments, with a very apocalyptic synth bed pulsing away in the background, and then the vocals that top it have this very sad, dejected punk affectation, which I'm not really sure works in such a skeletal instrumental. There's also Boils Up, which tries its hand at working more electronics into the mix. At first, there's a pretty menacing presence with all of these warped and stretched and kind of hideous layers of synthetic ugliness. But then the grunting bass notes and driving drums to follow, while they do hit a good pace, they fail to intensify in any significant way across the run of the track, maybe except for the very end with the riffs kind of coming in blaring. But again, much of the time they just don't match the intensity of the vocals, and it just feels a little bare. For comparison, an earlier track on the record, Radiator, this one does a much better job at attempting something in a more synth-punk vein. Plus, there's some really cool rhythmic improvs on the back end of the track. Continuing with some of the weaker moments here, there is Buck 50, whose riffs are so slow, basic, and mind-numbingly repetitive, it genuinely does make me wonder if this is the same band that made Dog Whistle. Then World War IV, I was not really crazy upon first listen, still not the case now, and while a subtle acoustic intro in concept is not a bad thing, even on a record as aggressive and as heavy as this, considering the climax only arrives at the very, very, very far end of the song, I feel like it could have arrived earlier, especially since the guitar arpeggios and vocals on top of them are not really that interesting on their own, though some of those dissonant banjo embellishments are nice. And I know songwriting isn't necessarily something that we make a big deal of on records such as these, but it really is lacking in this batch of tracks, as minutes upon minutes go by on this record without anything catchy in sight. Case in point, the song War Not Beef, which is something to behold in a sense because easily this track brings the band's most unhinged performance on the entire project, but little to none of it sticks outside of some of the groovier passages on the front end of the song. And it's not like it has to be this way, because we do have the song Using It, which is one of the band's catchiest tracks ever, I think. The vocals, distorted riffs, bass, and drums all sound very tight and together on this one. Those shrill chords hit very hard. The earworm refrains on the track go nuts. Got time, and I'm using it. Got drugs, and I'm abusing it. So at least in a sense, this is still a Show Me the Body album. There are cuts that you can find here that are absolutely no bullshit, like the chunky riffs and heavy groove changes on Food from Plate, which are definitely visceral, but the more I dug into the lyrical content on this one, the less interesting I found it to be, even if there are moments where it comes off a bit menacing. And the song We Came to Play absolutely does not come to play at all. This track has some of the harshest and most feedback-laced riffs on the entire LP. Plus, if this record is trying to make a statement on chaos, violence and vengeance in the city, which it most obviously is. It's doing a much better job of it here, as well as on the intro, where the band kind of sets these themes up to be pretty key returning points for the rest of the LP. But outside of that handful of songs I enjoyed and that light conceptual focus, I didn't find a whole lot to praise about this project. The embrace of electronics here and there is inconsistent and sometimes just does not go over well. This album also features the band's most one-dimensional song structures and instrumental palettes so far. The interesting genre fusions seem to have mostly just kind of been thrown out the window. Taking some of the writing and instrumentals on this LP in a more abstract and long-winded direction, I don't think has yielded great results. And for whatever reason, the vocals this time around feel a bit more over the top than usual, and I think that has resulted in performances that feel a little less authentically gritty. Unfortunately, despite looking forward to this album quite a bit and this band's usual brand of vicious chaos, I think this is the weakest Show Me the Body project thus far, by a mile or two as well. I'm feeling a strong 5 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Show Me the Body, forever.